Hi everyone, welcome to Slice of Life. My name is Dabney. I'm the young adult librarian at the Twin Lakes Library System, and I use they, them pronouns. Today I'm going to be telling you all about mindfulness and leading us through some meditative practices. So I am a novice when it comes to meditation and mindfulness. I attended a webinar recently by Madeleine Charney, and she was teaching us all about mindfulness, and I realized that these practices are things that I need to add to my life and I think would be helpful for you as well. Prior to this webinar, the only other experience I've had with mindfulness was a workshop that was actually offered at the library, but I tend to do better learning on my own. So when I was learning in that workshop, I was with all of my library coworkers, and it was a little bit difficult for me to absorb the teachings and let my self-consciousness go. But now I'm home by myself in my apartment, and this is the perfect time for me to try to learn these things. Also, I'm just gonna give out some information that I learned from the webinar recently. So mindfulness, it is paying attention purposefully and non-judgmentally to your experience in the present moment. And when I took this webinar, a lot of the focus was on the present moment of us dealing with the pandemic. And now the present moment is dealing with the problems of injustice and police brutality in our country. And that is an issue that has been weighing heavily on my mind, and I'm sure on the minds of many people around the United States and the world. So as I've gone through this past week, this has been something that's kind of been consuming my thoughts all the time. And when I was preparing this mindfulness talk, a lot of what I was reading was really helping me process things, because what they talk about in the webinar is that when you're practicing mindfulness, you are allowing yourself to take a break and become self-aware. Like, what are you feeling? What are you going through? And sort of working that out. And one of the things the presenter talked about was, we all are trying to get through our day, and we kind of have this window of tolerance that we exist in, where we're, processing what's going on, moving on with our lives. But sometimes we get outside that window of tolerance. Sometimes we're hyper, and I've been hyper this week where, I'd be trying to go to sleep, but I couldn't because my brain just kept going and going and going and going with all these thoughts. I'm on social media a lot, on Tumblr and Twitter and Instagram, and it seems like, every time I engage with social media, my mind is going, and it's like, how can I be an advocate? How can I be an ally? And it's, it's a lot. And so it kind of builds up and builds up and kind of makes me hyper to where I can't calm down. On the other side of that is you can be hypo. You can be below your window of tolerance. You can be feeling sort of like dead inside, and you're just not processing things. And I've also gone through that a lot. I sort of worked really, really hard for several years without allowing myself to really take any breaks, and that kind of left me in a year of sort of feeling very hypo, like I could not deal with a lot of things. And I think if I had been practicing mindfulness, it's possible that I could have avoided that burnout and kept myself within my window of tolerance. So that's why I want to start practicing these things, and I think maybe you might want to try practicing them as well. So there are some contemplative practices, and I'll have links to the stuff I'm talking about today, so you can go and check that out on your own. But they provided this like chart of a tree that's got all these branches shooting off of it. And each branch is a different contemplative practice. So I'm going to look at my tree chart over here. Some of them you might be more aware of, like stillness, which can be meditation and silence. There is movement, which is like walking meditation, doing Tai Chi and yoga and dance, and Labyrinth Walking. There is creative meditation, creative contemplative practices where you are journaling, you're singing, you're making music, you're making art. And one that I didn't really think about as being a contemplative practice is activism. And some of the things they have listed on that is like, volunteering, going to vigils, going to marches, bearing witness. There's relational contemplative practices, which can be achieved through storytelling, listening, dialogue. There's a lot of ways that you can engage with like these practices that'll vary like person to person. Find out what works best for you. And for the Labyrinth Walking, I've actually done that a couple times before, and I was curious if there was a labyrinth here in Milledgeville, and there is out at Bartram, so I'll have directions to how you could get to that labyrinth. But when you're walking the labyrinth, you're not trying to like solve a maze or solve a puzzle. You are meditating, and you are letting your mind process and work through things. So Labyrinth Walking, it's about the journey, not necessarily the destination, but you can obviously read more about that. And speaking about reading more, the presenter in the webinar I attended recommended a book, Emergent Strategy by Adrienne Maree Brown, and that is on Hoopla. It's an ebook, and I am very curious about checking it out because the author is a Black activist and a woman of color, and so I would like to hear her thoughts on mindfulness and change. So, okay, now we're going to do a few meditative practices, and the ones we're going to be doing are straw breathing, stretching, meditation, and gratitude. In the webinar I attended, they did guided meditation, which is really cool, but I don't feel confident in my ability to guide you through a meditation. Like, I'm just starting out, I'm a novice, so I would encourage you to check out some YouTube videos or some meditation apps to learn more about that, and I'll have, again, some more resources listed for that. One thing they talked about in the webinar was Greater Good in Action, and it's a website that has different prompts and practices to help you work through like how you're feeling in the moment. So we'll start with straw breathing. So what you do is you are going to inhale through your nose, and you're going to exhale through your lips. So you're going to make your lips into a small O and breathe out through that opening, so like you would be breathing out through a straw. And they encourage you to do this like however many times it takes. Straw breathing can help lower your blood pressure and heart rate. So if you're in a situation and you're getting hyper, you're getting too overwhelmed, try and take a break for yourself and practice some straw breathing. Okay, so here we go. Inhale. Inhale. And as you're doing that, you can sort of feel the tension and the stress in your body kind of going out with that exhale. The other thing they talked about was stretching. So I'm pulling up a slide over here that's got some different stretches you can do. And they encourage you to do these stretches every 20 minutes, maybe every hour if you're home and you're just sitting around all day. Take a minute to do these stretches. If you're at school, whenever we're back at school someday, during your day, maybe try to do some of these stretches then too. I mean, the thing about these is they do help release tension and kind of help you feel a little bit better physically and mentally. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with some neck stretches. And so first of all, we're going to bend the neck back and forward, back and forward. And they say to do this 3 to 5 times each. And when you do that, you inhale when you're lifting your head up. Exhale when you're putting your head down. The other one is turning your neck from side to side. So they say inhale at the center, exhale when you look to the side. So okay, that's really easy, right? The other one is dropping your ear towards your shoulder. And you inhale at the center, exhale when you drop your ear to your shoulder. So. And again, do each of these 3 to 5 times and just sort of feel that tension release. Another thing we're going to do is shoulder movements. So we're going to do our shoulders up and down. We inhale with shoulders up, exhale with shoulders down. Okay. Then we're going to do our shoulders forward and back. Inhale, opening chest. Exhale, stretching out back, collapsing chest. So. And our final one is we're going to circle with arms at the side. So inhale when shoulders are back and up, exhale when shoulders are down. So this might work better if you're standing, but we'll try. So you're just kind of doing this circular motion with your arms. Okay. And the other one I'm not going to demonstrate for you because I'd have to stand up, but you do a vertical trunk twist. So you're standing, you've got a good stance, you've got your arms at your side, and you're going to twist at your hips to the side. And when you do that, you're twisting to the left, and you're going to raise your right heel while you're twisting. When you twist to the right, raise your left heel. And they say, quick exhale as you twist, inhale as you transition through the center without stopping. So again, I'm going to have a link to this because it's a lot to take in. And also when you're doing these stretches, like if you're sitting, make sure you're sitting comfortably and that you're relaxed, that you're not all tensed up. Okay, now we are going to do a minute of silent meditation. And I have this chime here, and when our minute is up, I'm going to ring the chime and bring us out of our meditation. So, while this is going, try to quiet your mind and not think. Be aware of, what your body's feeling. If you hear sounds, just kind of let that wash over you. Don't get distracted or focus too much on them. But we're going to take a moment of silence. welcome back. All right, and to close out today's session, we're going to focus on gratitude. So think of some things right now that you're grateful for. And I am grateful for my job and for this moment I got to spend with you all. I am thankful for the rain, watering my vegetables outside. I'm thankful for my cats and the companionship and company they provide. I'm thankful for all the people in our community who are advocating at this time. I'm thankful for the library and all the books I can read. And I am thankful for educators, the people who are sharing knowledge with us. I'm thankful for writers and the stories they tell and the experiences they let us live through in their work. So I hope this was at least a little bit helpful for you all. Again, I'm going to have lots of resources linked that can teach you more about mindfulness and meditation. And I hope you all have a good weekend.